in it. I don't want to sit in this messy place. I don't want to feel that uncomfortableness. Although that's where the treasure is. That's where the golden nuggets are.
That is true because and just simply said, and that I think is one of the hardest things coming, especially from um a leadership background. I see that it's hard, you want people to get stuff done, but I know that working with clients, you have to take a step back, and I think that you do that so well to really detach from that moment and share with people that alternate universe, that you inverse that Dr. Grant talks about. It's the you and the potential that someone has. And I hear all the time from people, oh my gosh, do you know what April did today? And it's not just that they're edifying you, but it's that they feel the power of the simplicity of what you bring in that healing. And that you're able to open that for people. And when they start to get to that reality for you, what are the next steps to, is it mostly that you see, oh, okay, now you see what the next step is and just offer them guidance to move forward? Is that basically what the next step would be?
Is it's about sitting down first and having a conversation. Let's I meet people where they're at. It doesn't matter their background, the you know, culturally, diversity, all the things, right? I've worked with so many different people, and it's just allowing them to be seen and heard, and then they feel that value. They're remembering those parts of themselves. And then we talk about a plan. Which direction do you want to go with the biodynamic breath work? And really easing into it. You know, I do not want to re-traumatize anyone. Um, any of
No,
my
no.
any of my sessions I've had, it's meeting them where they're at and recognizing when they're feeling a little bit more heightened. Maybe they need a little bit more resourcing. Maybe they uh, just need a space that
Mm.
day um, for more of a Reiki experience versus getting really into the breath work. But what it comes down to is allowing the person to express their needs and really accepting who they are. I don't have a plan and say, okay, this is where I'm going to take you. You do X, Y, and Z, and you're going to get this end result. That's not life. That's not that's not how our bodies work either, right? What is your body saying? How is it speaking to you? How is it communicating to you? Your mind might say, oh, yes, I need to do this. Although the body's like, no, I'm having some resistance. This trauma is too much for me. So then we find a backdoor approach to that. So really it's everybody's unique, their nervous system's wired differently, and just sitting and talking and exploring together, that's what it's all about.
I
I'm
love
just a
that.
guide. I'm a
You
guide, like
are.
Jeffrey said. No, you guide people. Yeah.
You are, and it's so unique that you help them kind of that GPS of the theory of relativity of where they are and their experiences that they have. And you honor that so well with people, and that you just bring them to that. And it's not criticizing them in the sense that it's the judgment of bad and you'll always be in this bad spot. But it's the judgment to say, if you understand where you're at, here's the blueprint
Mhm.
and the roadmap to where you need to go. So amazing. I'm so glad to be here and be part of this. And I know you guys, this is so great. So get some questions. We're gonna go a couple of rounds with the speakers today, or the coaches and healers that we have here today. And then they're gonna answer your questions. And that's so important because we want to set that intention of the energy in the room with everybody. And so the next wonderful being that we're going to bring here and spotlight for everybody to see is Michelle. And
Uh,
Michelle, hello, you're such the sabotage slayer, right?
I
So,
know. Yes.
whew, she's
Slay
out
that
there.
dragon. Yeah.
Woo, slaying all day, right? So, what's one kind of sneaky form of self-sabotage? Because it's got many that even successful women don't see coming, no matter what. And how can we stop that before it spirals as it sneaks up on us when we're not paying attention?
Well, there's so many. So let's just try to dig into that a little bit. So one thing is self-doubt. Like maybe you've been offered an opportunity to apply to this other position, and you start comparing yourself to other people, or comparing yourself to yourself, and looking at past mistakes and think, well, I don't know if I would be good in that position, or what if I fail, or what if I embarrass myself, or, and these internal thought patterns that go on in your mind. But a lot of that, or all of it, is rooted in subconscious programming that occurred between the ages of, third trimester in the womb, all the way up to age 7 or 8. And it might have been something that you heard, from a parent or from a teacher that was maybe well-meaning, but your perception of that thing that was said has gotten lodged into that subconscious thought processes, and it kind of holds you back. So an example would be, um, you know, that well, let's see, like not wanting to be seen too much. Like for women, especially, it's you take a back seat to the man. And that's, being 55, I mean, that was kind of how I grew up. It's like you kind of submit to the male authority in your life. So that could be something um, that holds people back.
Absolutely, it does, and we don't always look at, what is our past? What does our past tell us about our current times? And what are we doing that we can kind of change and pivot? And once people see that they've done this, I that's just, what is that next step to say, hey, it's sometimes it's just the recognition of having someone like you, Michelle, share with us that point in time that we're in that point of self-sabotaging, we can't succeed. How much does that have an effect on our personal, the effect on our business life? So we can't generate the wealth that we need to generate.
Well, you probably heard it said before that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so, if you look at your personal life versus your business life, you can see like maybe where you hold yourself back personally. Well, that's going to transfer over to the business life as well. And, example would be, let me think of a good example, but um, just maybe not taking on certain roles because you don't feel like that is your lot in life, or that you're not able to do that. Um, and yeah, so I'm trying to think of a good example. These are great questions, but I'm kind of stuck. So let's kind of move on to some.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We can. You gave some really good advice, and I think that's part of it. Sometimes that's our recognition, and to see that where are we, and that we are that enough, and that the answer we gave is just perfect. We have the answers within us, and that's such a beautiful thing. So we're going to come back to Dr. Jeffrey, and I've got a question here, and I can, if my computer wants to work with me today, thank you, and it will, and I'm so thankful for that. So, Dr. Jeff, in a world obsessed with hustle, getting it done, moving, it ends up that we're doing so much and pushing so hard that we never reach the goal because we're busy being busy. And we got to just stop that, right? And it's hard to do because we're so stuck in that kind of like the kid from Charlie Brown that always had the
Mhm.
dirt around him all the time because he's moving, he's just moving to move. He's always dirty. I can't remember his name. I know it's not Linus, but if anybody can remember the name, put it in the chat because that's really funny. But you're just moving. There's this cloud around you that you think is so important and it has nothing to do with anything, and you're just getting rained on all the time. Pigpen, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And you know, this world that's obsessed with a hustle, how do you define the true wealth that actually feels good to the soul? So we can build that spreadsheet of what we've really truly accomplished, that we've actually accomplished it. So we can have it as a writer downer. We can actually take note that it was successful, that it's proof, it's the receipts that we bring. And so we can get our flowers and win our and celebrate and share the wins with other people. So what's the true wealth?
Yeah, I think for my journey has been I think everybody's life is a roller coaster ride, through the journey of life. And what I have come across, and especially dealing with my own insecurities, as we all have, and that little dude or dudette on the shoulder whispering in your ear, it's getting to be comfortable with yourself and knowing who you are and what your mission is. And the bottom line is you have to prove to yourself that you are worth it. You have a mission, you have a vision, you have a passion, and you want to share what that is, because we all have to I didn't know what my mission was. I thought I'd go to work and, work a corporate job and then retire. Well, that wasn't it for me. And I felt that there was a bigger purpose. I think that many of us don't realize that we do have a bigger purpose. And as I went through my own life, I was able to accomplish things that I never thought I could, because it, again, as I started in said earlier, it starts with loving yourself. And once you can love yourself, you open up the door to an unlimited number of possibilities to growing from a personal and a professional perspective, and both, because you combine both, because I think Michelle mentioned something about um, your personal goes into your work goes into your personal. So there's that correlation there. But I found with we celebrate ourselves in every little success that we do. And as we're doing that, we share that. We share that with our community. We share it with family. Those family that want to receive it. Some of us have family that don't want to receive it, and that's okay. But there are people out there that are looking for those types of success stories, whether it's losing 10 pounds, whether it is getting a certificate, whether it is, coming off a medication, whatever the case may be. It's a success in your journey. And I think it was April was talking about this at one point. We need to celebrate those little successes and embrace that, because it is an accomplishment. And most of us, I believe, are too hard on ourselves, because we grew up many of us grew up in an era where you're wrong, that's stupid, that's dumb, what are you saying? And it's all negative, 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 instead of encouragement. So for me, it's those little nuggets that I go and level up in my life, and I want to share that with those that receive it. Great. Those that don't receive it, that's great too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you talk from experience, and thank you for sharing those great nuggets with everybody to say, hey, it can be just that simple. It can
Yeah,
be that easy to recognize. And with someone incredible like yourself, you can find that, and that's what the main theme is here, is really sharing that if we start to recognize and open up our eyes, maybe clean out the lenses of what we have and bring it back to
right.
our heart. So thank you for sharing that. So Sabrina, I'm going to bring you back up here because you
Yeah.
have some wonderful things to share. Just know that you're here with everybody that's wonderful too, and we're also here to support. So can you share a moment where you started with hypnosis? Did you try hypnosis before you learned how to use hypnosis? What was that change like for you?
You know, this is kind of a funny one because I did try hypnotherapy before I actually used it. And so back in the day, I used to smoke pretty heavily. I used to smoke cigarettes, and it was a bad, nasty habit that I hated. And so I went with my mom and my dad to a quit smoking group hypnotherapy session. And what's really funny about it is it didn't work for me. Like I walked out of there making fun of the person that was doing the hypnotherapy and laughing it off because, oh, it just didn't work. I was young, I was naive, I wasn't in the right mindset to even receive it. So for me, it wasn't very successful. But if you're somebody who you know, is curious about hypnotherapy, if I would have been more curious, then I would have been more receptive and it would have worked better. But that was my first experience. And what intrigued me about hypnosis was just the mindset and how people, make the decisions and the choices that they do, the behaviors that they have. Being in sales previous to hypnotherapy really taught me a lot about people. And that's what got me interested in it.
I love that you bring up the sales portion of it, because I think it takes a minute to really look at the fact that that's what sales is about, people. Sales is
Yeah.
about understanding your client. Sales is about understanding your avatar and who you're talking to. And that's just not, it's almost, it kind of seems like, who's been hiding this from me? But how do they know about you? And that's where we come today, even in events. And this is how it works. We're connecting with people. We're getting to know our clientele. We're getting to know one another. And that's what's so important about doing workshops like this, because we get to know the group that we're working with, and we get to have the people that we love come in, friends, families, followers, all these fantastic beings coming in here. And it's about the psychology of people. It can
Yeah.
turn into a horror movie if you look at it like Facebook, but if we change the mindset and start to take in leads, start to connect and talk to our audience, then it is so much better. So how has that change been for you, bringing that around now to saying, I've got this great intel and this education and this intellect and all this stuff that I've gathered in these big boxes over the years? How does that change in the moment where you add the spiritual component to it and the holistic sense of the hypnosis? How does that reframe how you look at your clients now?
That's a really great question. I connect with my clients now so much deeper than I would in a traditional like sales or customer experience position. Just because we are getting down to the root of the problems or the frustrations, the low confidence, the scarcity mindset, we're uncovering all those fears that they have deep inside of them. And then when you add in a spiritual component of that, it's really connecting mind, body, and soul. Because with spirituality through meditation, you're connecting to your soul and your body. You have to be aware of your breathing. You have to be aware of your feelings, everything that is going on inside of your head as well. So it's really about tuning in and being hyper aware of the signals that your body is throwing out, of the thoughts that you're having in the moment, and how you feel about it. So I connect with people much deeper now.
Absolutely. I love that. The deep spiritual connection. Thank you so much for sharing that, and the love that you share with people, and flipping the script a little bit and kind of shaking things up and bringing it into a holistic manner. So we're going to go back to David. I've got another question for you. You've got some great answers here. And so what's the simple link between the wellness and the wealth when people go and get healthier and a healthier mindset that nobody really is talking about, but people need to hear?
Well, the first thing is it costs less to eat healthy than it does to eat convenient foods and fast foods. Um, so it's a myth where people think it's expensive to eat healthy. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you're healthy, you have better mental clarity. You're not in a fog. Uh, your body's not inflamed. You have more energy, more vitality. You're more productive, and you're able to participate in life rather than being a spectator. Also, as Jeff mentioned, you get off medications most of the time. Uh, you don't have to go to the doctor as much, so you're saving money there. And that is the biggest issue is this, you feel better overall, and you just go about life without worrying about doctor appointments, prescriptions being refilled, and what the side effects are, the negative side effects of being on those medications.
Yes, it is. It's a lot cheaper and you feel a lot better, don't you, over the time when you start to change your health. It makes such a difference to get up there. Do you suggest to people that they maybe schedule in like their exercise or maybe some sun time and just eat? They don't have to, there's that myth out there that you had to spend such a ton of money and break the bank to get supplements, but you could just get some healthy stuff out there.
You don't need to break the bank. That's one of the things that with the Life 42 health community is that you can become healthy without breaking the bank. There's the simple things that we're all aware of. We're just not doing it. It's not so much what we can do, it's what we will do. Uh, for example, stop buying soda or diet sodas or fruit juices or fruit flavored beverages and drink pure water. So that's one thing right there you can do. Um, One of the other things you can do is physical activity. You don't need to go to the gym or get a gym membership or special equipment. Walking is one of the most underrated physical activities you can do. Rebel Wilson, the actress, lost 77 pounds in a year walking an hour each day. Now, I realize not everybody has an hour to walk each day. However, if you can, walk in 10 or 15-minute breaks when you have some time, that's effective. Mindy Kaling did that when she had her 10 or 15-minute break. Instead of going on social media or texting friends, she go for a walk. So there's little things you can do that are free and easy and effective. And people, they make it too complicated. Just keep it back to basics.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do is just bring it back to basics, make it simple. And that way you don't have to bring a large list with you to go grocery shopping. And you go down the rabbit hole of ingredients and you can't even I can't even pronounce half of it. I don't know what it is. I don't even know that it exists on this earth half the time because it's almost like this is weird chemical that they just invented to put this word on there. So you buy it, you think you're smarter because you just pretend that if everybody else is buying it, it's got to be good. You don't need an encyclopedia, right? For
Yeah.
simple stuff.
And the other thing is, it used to be the rule of thumb was shop the perimeter of the grocery store. That's no longer true. When my wife and I go to the grocery store and I look around the perimeter, you have the imitation fake, meats like the Impossible Burger or Beyond Burger. That's just chemicals. It's bad for you. Then you have other imitation foods loaded with chemicals that people think are healthy when they're not. I would say that probably 90% of the yogurt that is being sold in grocery stores is not healthy, and probably half of it's not even real yogurt. So you got to be careful. Like you said, read the ingredients. People are always misreading or not reading the nutrition fact panels accurately. They look at the calories, the protein, the sugars, the fat, the sodium maybe. Very few people read the ingredients. And so they're thinking they're eating healthy because of the deceptive marketing on the front of the packages. And when you look at the ingredients, you realize you're being misled.
Yes, but we have these cool apps now too that will break down, it'll give it a score to say not scoring you bad, but it'll score the food. Like we can't find anything and the dial goes crazy because it's like not even a food, it's some cyborg of something on the shelf. Who knows what it is. But I want to say, you know what, Rebel, you said Rebel Wilson, and she's hilarious. And I think it's so great when stars come out and say, hey, I think I'm good and wonderful because I can get on the camera and she's got a great sense of humor, and you watch her in The Hustle and she's just hilarious. I know it's a remake, one of the few that's funny. And the reason I bring this up is because she's here in front of millions and trillions of people, and she's making a change. And when people see you all the time, they want to take part of that. They want to take part of that change, and it's good. And it's fun to laugh. So that's what makes it easy, even better. So I'm going to come back to Guess Who, April. I'm bringing you back on. I know you knew it was you next because you're amazing like that. But what happens when we finally let go of that WWE SmackDown wrestling grip that takes hold of us in life? It's like this, there's this, it's really the chi or the energy around us, but we're kind of fighting ourselves within that 3 foot of that chakra field, right? In the energy. So what's that real raw release of your soul version, kind of like, instead of like just this wrestler trying to smack you down everywhere you go?
Mm. Yeah, it can be as easy or as gentle, I should say, because it's not easy, as having the awareness of when that wrestler's trying to smack you down, like you said, Nicole. Just having that like, I am just so struggling with myself right now. It's not about that other person or something we saw on the news or, whatever it is. It's all our perceptions. We are creating this within our own mindset from our past perceptions, from our past experiences. What stories are we telling ourselves, really? And so when we recognize, oh my gosh, that's my own BS, my own belief system. It's my own belief system, my own BS that's getting in the way again, but not beating ourselves up again, because then that, right, keeps us in that vicious cycle of judgment and all the things. So just having the simple awareness and then asking, okay, I see that, I understand that. Can I accept that part of me? There's always going to be that part of ourselves, always. That's going to be that way, but can I accept this part? And then choose how you want to respond. How do I want to respond in this moment? Maybe if I just step back, even though I'm feeling the currents and the turmoil within me, right, fighting against myself as I'm thinking about this person or the situation or even our own self, maybe if I just step back and just witness, oh, yeah, I can feel these currents. Well, where is this in my body right now? Oh, I'm feeling this in my stomach, or I'm feeling this in my head a lot. Can I just take an easy breath here in this moment? Shifting the script, shifting where our attention's going, because where your attention goes, energy flows. And it's Dr. Jill Bolt. I forget her second last name, but she actually wrote about the 90-second rule, that she's a neuroscientist, and she wrote a book, My Stroke of Insight, after she had a stroke. And she wrote about it's a fascinating story. And she says that when you notice those emotions coming up, rising up, it only takes 90 seconds for those chemicals that your brain released because of the perceptions or because of right away the sympathetic nervous system's activated, right? It only takes 90 seconds for those chemicals to dissipate through the body. The body will allow that to shift through naturally. Although, are we still feeding it? Are we saying, yeah, that person's a jerk, and that reminds me of my high school teacher, right? It just perpetuates it and it keeps it going. And then our body's like, yeah, oh, yeah, and it keeps holding it. So when we recognize it's only going to take 90 seconds, how can I shift? Just looking out at a tree, focusing on your feet, taking a breath, petting your animal. Yeah, sure. Turn on a funny clip on YouTube, something just to shift, right? Shift our attention on that, and then that'll dissipate. So that it starts with the awareness, Nicole, and then asking yourself, how can I shift this? Or even, is this true? Is this really happening right now? Because our minds love to tell us stories.
They got a
Loves to
lot.
tell us stories. Yeah. And then the body's like, yeah, I can feel it, right? And that's that entanglement. That's those currents, those rip currents that of emotions that come in. And it's not good or bad. I want everybody to hear that too. It's not good or bad. It's just recognizing where you're at and then just making a choice. It can be that simple, although it's not easy.
No, it's not. And that's why, I mean, just for me, it's just like, I look at it like a big WWE SmackDown. Somebody's getting a chair, somebody's jumping off the 6-foot chain fence on each other because it gets so raw and real when you fight with it, right? It just gets out of control. But if we do what April is suggesting and we kind of look at where are we? What do we have going on in our lives? And that we can take the control back, because if you don't take the control, someone will take control of you for you. So take the wheel. That beautifully well said. I love that. And that's what this is here for. Let somebody that maybe have those the better driver or the captain of the ship go down with that. Don't let it be the burning ship, but have somebody that will steer clear of the mess and the storm that's at hand. And even my guides are a little bit crazy too. So if I don't listen, I don't know about you guys, but if I don't listen to my guides, I'll get a 200-pound door fall on top of me. Yep, yep. Does yours do that, April? Do your guides do that? Is it like a physical,
Oh,
like,
it's the
hello?
nudge. It's like a gentle nudge at first, and then you're not listening, and it's like, something comes in, it's like, oh, okay, I'm listening now. Thank you. Thank you. I asked for this.
And it's the listening and the absolute ability to step back. Thank you so much for that, and really detach and look at what is relevant, what is going on, and what do I need to keep, because you don't want to fight with that, because we elude that energy to other people, and what we see that the way and the reaction of other people to us is an absolute sign of what's going on in our life and how we're treating others. So I'm going to bring my Miss Michelle back here. And I've got another question for you. If things stop moving around in here and I can get you back up here, beautiful. There we go. There you are. Wonderful. So when you help people rewrite their patterns and they're changing, what's maybe a go-to mantra or an action when the old version just tries to creep up, like an ex-boyfriend stalker, you know what I mean? That oldness comes back and it just starts creeping back into your life, and we want to make sure we're got healthy boundaries and we're in a good position mentally and emotionally. What is your go-to action for that?
Well, I think you first have to be curious as to why this is rearing its ugly head again. And now that you're more aware of it, you can ask the question of, why is this happening? What are the beliefs behind this, that it's continuing, to allow this to come up? Because, a lot of people just go through life without even questioning anything, and they just accept what is as it is what it is. But it really takes courage, and it takes trust in yourself to look in the mirror and, I mean, figuratively or like literally, and say, why do these patterns keep on showing up in my life? Because one of the things that my husband and I used to always tell our kids is everywhere you go, there you are. So essentially, just if this keeps on showing up in your life, you're really the common denominator. I mean, I've had to do that in my own life recently. I've written about it on LinkedIn, but just really examining why this thing keeps on showing up. Because there's this great quote by a guy, Peter Crone. You might have heard of him, but he said that life will present you with people and circumstances to show you or reveal to you where you're not free. So if you can objectively look at your circumstance, or look at this thing that keeps on rearing its ugly head and say, okay, why does this keep on coming up? What am I not learning from this? And what can I learn from this? I don't really have a mantra per se, but it is really all about self-reflection and awareness and not playing the victim role. Too many of us want to put the responsibility of the things in our own lives onto, well, I didn't get that because of her, or, if I would not have been, in this situation, then I could have, prevailed here, or, whatever it is. And so really just have the courage to trust your inner knowing and ask the question and just sit there for a second and let the answer come up, and don't formulate it in your mind beforehand.
Ooh, I like that. Ask the question. So be curious. And that's what made Joe Rogan as strong as he is, because he wants to know things. And,
Mhm.
and so when you take that and you say, hey, what's going on here? What's this stuff? I mean, obviously, I got questions. I always love to ask questions and get to know people on a different level where they might not talk about, or certain questions and answers that they have, because this way we don't rinse and repeat. We get to find a juicy nugget, and you share these great nuggets here to say, hey, what can we do when we get these questions answered? The what if, that I am enough, that what if I do succeed?
Right.
Even asking those questions. What if I do
Yes.
succeed? What if I do become abundant? What if we go to this 3-day workshop and I manifest $1 bazillion, and now I can help everybody from my yacht in the Caribbeans, right? And I can press a button and donate. I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I don't know about you guys, but that's the whole intention here. I'll visit April too, but I mean, there's some other places I'm going, because there's a great Spam-A-Lot tour in Scotland coming up, and I'm all for John Cleese. But I think that that's great, the fun that you have with this, and that the true wealth that these people are feeling inside. And once you get to that, identifying what is the pain point, and now that they have someone like you where you offer their solution, and then they can use that consistently.
Well, you brought up a really, really great point, and I don't even know if you realized that you did it, but is that so many people live in this story of like, well, what if I don't get this job, or what if I fail here, or what if I, quit, or on the weight loss journey, or whatever it is that they're telling themselves, or they use their past experiences to inform current or future fears, right? But what if you switch the script on that and say, what if what if I do get that amazing promotion? What if I do? And so both of those, when you're saying what if I don't versus what if I do, they're all projecting future things. But what if, and so neither one of them are true yet, but if you focus on the one that you really want to be true, then that's where your energy is going to go, just like April was saying, um, and that's and so then you're going to start moving vibrationally, emotionally, in that more positive direction. So, and it's not delusion, it is, because all it is a story right now. So yeah.
We've been delusional long enough. I think
Yeah.
it's time for us to march forward and lead the way, and change, and make that change. And so we're gonna make shift happen, because it's not going to be any longer WTF. It's going to be what if,
I like it.
WIF. And I had to pause for a second, because it's going to come out anyway. But I've got another round of questions, but before we go, you guys, you will be mailed. Everybody here today has some free stuff and some amazing things to give away and ways to connect. But we're going to share all that too, and then we're going to have questions. So we're going to go through another kind of round robin here, another set of Q&A. And then you guys have some great questions, because this is the time. You've got that burning question, and you've got just a great group of amazing beings here that you can ask anything to, and you can get it heard, and then we can all be accountable with you. of taking action to that. So I'm going to bring Jeff back up and bring him up here because I've got another great question here. So Jeff, if someone's terrified a little bit of digital assets and they want to grow their wealth, and they're like, well, you know, the energy is bad, or I don't get that alchemical connection. It may just be bad, bad, bad. Tech is bad for everybody, and AI is going to take over the world. How do you really get people to kind of snap out of it and say, you know what, we can use this for good, and there's a next gen in this prosperity pie that these fruits and these deliciousness will always come forward in your luxurious life now that you've gotten to the wealth?
Yeah, that's a great question. My experience has been talking with people is that they're afraid. They're afraid to explore. Why? Because there's a lot of noise out there, and they're confused, they're misguided, and they don't know where to get the right answers. And it's really a matter of stepping into their own self to if they're looking for change, they need to step into that. Again, I go back to the uncomfortable zone because there is so much misinformation out there. And I understand that because I was in the same boat. And I'll share that story when I do my presentation on Saturday, because it's a very unique story. But the bottom line is the world is changing. I'm 70 years old. The world today is not like it was in 1973 when I graduated high school. And we need to understand that as the world evolves, technology evolves, science evolves, all aspects of life evolve. And once you open those doors to exploring and embracing those changes and seeing if that's a good fit for you, because this is not always a good fit for everybody. And you need to resonate and go back to the gut feeling. Is this a gut feeling that something I want to move forward with? Then you make those decisions because, again, just like with everybody on the panel today, you're stepping into that unknown, you're exploring, and that's what you need to do to get to the next level. And if every panelist here has brought that into their answering their questions, because that's the message that I'm getting from them. Getting the person off the shoulder and getting your health together and breathing and hypnosis, things like that. So same thing with digital, same thing with the blockchain technology. The bottom line is blockchain technology is here to stay, and it is changing the world. And if you remain stagnant, you'll be left behind, and left behind in massive, massive ways. Why? Because it's changing faster than it ever has before. It's taken 40 years for Microsoft and Apple to get where they are today. That whole paradigm shift, we're in front of a paradigm shift, a massive, massive paradigm shift, and it's going to go much faster. And it's like the Roadrunner. I look at the Roadrunner. That's what it is today. And you don't want to be left behind, because think about your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, for those who are lucky enough to live that long. That will be their future. It will be, in the blockchain, in AI, in the digital world. That's where everything is going. So I encourage people to embrace it, and embrace it to be educated. That's the number one. Get educated and understand. You don't have to understand the technology aspect. Understand the bigger scope of it. And if it's for you, great. And if it's not for you, great. Because people can move forward and survive without AI, and there will be many people that will. But so hopefully that helped. What
Yes,
did you say?
I said they can survive without AI.
We're
Oh,
talking
really?
a unique group here.
Absolutely. It is so true. You can put the phone down. You can walk away. You can take a few minutes, go by the lake, walk
Yeah.
walk by some water, get out, get some sunshine. get out of your apartment, maybe the urban area, and just go see that there is a different form of life. Maybe watch the grass grow for a minute, but you share some good things. And you know, if it's the education and it's the
Mhm.
sharing, and in virtual reality, when we do onboarding classes, it's important to walk people through and get them out of the fear porn mindset. Really
Right.
get out of that mindset of that it is this way. It is so simple. You're not getting stuck there. It's not Tron. You are not going to wake up in the game. And really, this is why this is called the prosperity portal. You need to go in, step into the portal. It's the
Right.
Stargate. Go
Yeah.
in there. We're pushing you in there. We're going to get you in there somehow. But the interdimensional travel. And if you watch Star Wars or Star Trek and you survived through the 80s of Silicon Valley, maybe you did or you didn't, you watched Big Bang Theory. It's really the dimensional portals
Mhm.
of the shift. And
Right.
Star Trek had
Mhm.
the holodeck. Virtual reality is a holodeck. You can make your own special world. You don't need all that crazy equipment. It doesn't have to be that expensive. And you know, and you can maybe set your world up and go back into your fro of the 70s and your bell bottoms. If you want to go back there and stay back there, you can visit it once in a while and
Platform
say
shoes.
hello. Yeah. Yeah, you got to have balance
It-
though. Yoga's good for that. And
exactly.
really, I love that you share is really to step into that. We are here as guides,
Yeah.
holding the space for you and sharing the energy to get you through that portal and that shift. And that's what so many people are talking about
Yeah,
these days.
and real quick, just let me give you know, when I talk to a lot of people, I say, remember the days when Excel spreadsheet was introduced back by Microsoft? Yeah, I do. And I said, well, where is it today? And they're like, oh my gosh. And, you know, they were afraid of it back then, but now they're actively using it. It's a technology and it does so many things. And that's what's happening. You know, we
Yes.
start at a point and we learn. It's like, you know, a two-wheeler, and then we take the training wheels off and take off. The same thing is here. It's just people are putting too much effort and making it too complicated for themselves.
Yes.
It's a little shift. And then
Yeah.
once you realize that, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was that, you know. I mean, it's a little complicated in the beginning, but once you grasp the concepts, it's like riding a bike.
Yeah. It's like blowing on the dandelion and setting your
Yeah,
wish and your intention out there. Just let it go.
perfect. Yeah,
Let it go, let it go, let God, or however you do it when you travel and let go. And if you're interdimensionally travel or astral traveling, you've got to get out of that body and
right.
separate and know that you're going to be safe and
Yep.
you are going to return or say, hey, maybe
Mhm.
I'm going to have this death experience and I'm going to let that go because there's more to be had in other lives. But we are here creating heaven on earth and we're going to live through this. We're here with you, and this is absolutely part of it. So Sabrina, I've got the last one of your last questions here for you. So I'm gonna bring you up, Miss Hypnosis. I love that. You know, I used to watch a lot of old horror movies. I love black and white movies, and I always think of the little like Sherlock Holmes, where they got the little chain moving back and forth, and you watch it, and then
Yeah,
everything.
the monocle.
Yeah, and
I
the
could use my
cartoons.
pendulum as one.
Yes.
We'll just look into my eyes.
Well, you know, that's part of the thing in living in Vegas. You see behind the scenes, and how much of it is can be reality. But with these new shifts, this is amazing. And so there are many coaches and they're stuck repeating a lot of the old patterns too. And they're not using these tools to set it in. And we want to share with coaches that it's time to move forward because, you know, we do need to work as a group, not to keep people down or keep people in their trauma. You know, it's the old patterns, maybe a new outfit, a redo on the 70s, right? Maybe a little bit of a different bell, you know, a little change of the hair color, you know, we use conditioner now, whatever. So what's the deepest, one of the deepest mind set shifts, because I was going to say it wrong, but what makes that lasting change finally stick? Like you had used this great story that you told of an experience. You didn't have a good mindset shift at the time when you did your hypnosis for smoking. What is that really good takeaway even deeper than you were talking about before that makes it stick for you and people?
So, honestly, it's the language and the dialogue that I use in hypnotherapy that is what reaches the subconscious so deeply. There's several different forms of hypnotherapy, but the modalities that I choose to use are rapid transformational therapy, which gets to the root issue quickly, and it combines hypnosis, CBT, and neuroplasticity techniques. So it's really great for those clients that are looking for results, or they're results oriented, because they'll see that quickly. And then another thing that I use is neuro-linguistic programming. I'm just going to slow it down a little bit. And this is language that helps to shift patterns quickly in the mind. So it's kind of like coding with computers, except it's mental coding. Think of it that way. It's powerful for reframing those limiting beliefs, and it's really powerful in communication patterns. So there's also another thing that I combine with these two modalities, which is Ericksonian style hypnotherapy, which is a gentle imagery guided hypnosis, along with quantum healing hypnosis. So there's several forms that I use to make it become a really deep state of hypnotherapy and lasting, but also rapidly shifting. So yeah, it takes a lot to learn all of the modalities that I use, but that's what makes it so efficient and so effective.
That's why you're the expert, because you learned all the cool stuff and your clients don't have to. And this is,
I use the
yeah,
whole,
right? You
yeah.
lifted the heavy weight for them. And that's really, it brings to the fact that even AI right now is decoding the Sumerian tablets. And people don't have to know the Sumerian tablets, that language. It is so alien and foreign to us, pun intended, but also that the fact that in order to decode it, you have to read through all of it, translate it, and see if you can match it. We still can't even manage to decode the Bible in the right way. So, and then the Torah has been there for how many thousands of years. But when we decode that in there, when we recode, when we take that out and we recode and you just go in there magically and you're moving the mesh in the brain and taking out the cobwebs, maybe, kind of as you're decoding it, and you're moving your magic in there, and you're bringing a new code, you're downloading new software, and
Yes.
you're teaching people. Then once that's in place, and sometimes it's just that shift really quick, like Marcel Vogel used to do that really quick shift with his crystal. When these people get decoded, is it almost like, whoa, I was asleep for so long and now I'm awake? What's that moment like when they just snap out of it, like, oh, whoa, this is crazy, moving forward?
Yeah, it is. It's a profound experience for people, because it is different for every individual, just based on the experiences that they've had so far in life, and based on how far along they are within their spiritual journey, as well as how aware they are of their self and their feelings and their body language and all of the things. So it is significantly different for everybody. But I've seen a lot of my clients have a common reaction, which is they are automatically happier. They are automatically feeling lighter, less stressed, less anxious, because all of a sudden they have this deep rooted belief that things are going to be all right and things are going to work out for their best and highest good. So that is,
Yes.
I think, the thing that is most in common with everyone.
It is true. And the best and highest good, whatever level that you're at. And and that you're looking for yourself and for humanity as a whole, because we are this mobile meat suit that gets around and has a certain sense of velocity, but we're kind of stuck on the earth. But let's get the whole scene together, and that's an amazing thing that you do. Thank you so much for sharing that, and that change. Really, it's fantastic. And honoring that it can be a change that is done quick. So I'm going to bring David back here. And David, you know, you've got this great thing where it's I believe it's Life 42, is that correct?
Yes.
What's with the numbers? I know I'm all into angel numbers. So what's the sense with that, with the number of the 4 and the 2? Is it a year in your life that you changed, or maybe a number that resonates with you and the change of the frequency? Because you've got some great frequencies behind you with your logo.
I have two answers for that. 42 is the answer to the universal question of life, the universe, and everything, according to Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So that's where 42 comes from. Also, it's 42 days is the program, because we found that 42 days is when people start seeing noticeable results by making small changes and doing it consistently and given enough time. What happens is a lot of times people start a new exercise program or eating differently, improving their eating habits, and they don't see change right away, so they get discouraged. It happens a lot during the New Year's resolutions, where people in January go to the gyms and start exercising, eating healthy, and they get on the scale and the scale hasn't moved. The reason the scale hasn't moved is because they're replacing the fat with muscle. Muscle and fat weigh exactly the same amount. The difference is muscle takes up less room. So you have to go by how your clothes are feeling, how much energy you have. And then they stop exercising, they stop eating healthy because they said it's not working. It's the old adage of 3 feet from gold. The story where the person had one of the richest gold veins mine, and he sold it because he wasn't finding it. And the new owner went 3 feet further and found the largest gold vein. So don't stop, because Sandra Yancey has a saying, how do you know the miracle is not going to happen 5 minutes, before you stop? So it's just, that's where 42 comes. That's a long answer.
No, I like that. It's great to know that. I always, I think it's good to know where people are at, or that there's something just so much deeper than that. And, it's the same thing with people in Las Vegas when they're stuck at the machines. I work security there. When they're at the machine and they're on that, they'll not get off the machine come hell or high water. If there's a fire, if there's an earthquake, whatever, if the person next to them is doing bizarre things for their TikTok, they will stick there. And if people can take that program and that obsession with, if I keep pushing the button and feed the machine, what will I get out of it? But looking at it in a positive way. If I feed this machine good food, then it will bring that to me, and I've only got maybe 3 more steps or 3 more feet to go.
Yeah, being healthy and having excellent health is a journey. It's not a destination. So I compare diets to a sprint where people reach their goal where they want to get to, and then they revert back to their old habits and they regain all their weight. That's why 90% of people who lose weight on a diet gain it back. Diets are designed to fail. They're temporary, they're extreme, they're hard to stick with, and a lot of them are potentially dangerous to our health. If you look at lifestyle and think of it as a marathon, you just keep going. In this marathon, which is life and being healthy, there's no finish line. So it's a mindset and a shift in how you view things and an attitude. And I like to refer to April because she always says, place your attention on your intention. And I love that quote from her. And so when people place their attention on being healthy, that's what the focus is. And as we know, what we focus on expands. So instead of thinking about not having a hot fudge sundae or not eating the burger through the fast food, drive through the fries, the milkshakes and everything, focus on eating the apple, the eggs. I like eggs, whatever you like that's healthy for you. And when you focus on that, that's what you're going to do.
Wow, 100%, because you're right every time, good or bad or indifferent, and it's the focus. And you got family.
I got
Hello,
a cat
hello.
right here next to me.
Oh,
But
that cat's feeling the energy and wants to share the love. That's so great. Thank you for not sugarcoating anything, and really, pun intended, right? One of the worst things we could do to our body. But really, as an avid gym person that I used to be, I work out at home. You know that that first month of the year is, you just stay away from the gym. You got to go on vacation, because people are getting there. They have no idea what they're doing. They flood the gym, and then they pay for another year membership that they'll never use. They'll use the first 30 days with it. And it's a shame not to see them. We used to count the people the next month and the next month and the next month, and tally who was coming in and who was showing up. But you get rewarded. You get rewarded. It's how you feel and getting on the scale, that muscle, that change, and that improvement that you seek. And, how are your clothes fitting? How do you feel? How do the people around you now react to you? What a great thing. And I love that change, and that your family supports you in this, and sharing that, right? And
and
that whole mental health.
the other thing I'd like to add to that is you can never out exercise a poor diet. And that 90% of our weight issues are based on what we put into our mouth. Now, exercise and, you know, being fit is important to overall health. It's only one component.
That's so true. It's so true. It's only a little piece of the pie. And we need to realize that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Miss April, Miss Breathwork, Miss Intention here. We are intention setting. And folks, there is an intention that by Miss April that's coming up and a little bit later. And it's great to be in that energy. If you haven't been in part of her energy yet, and you're not quite, you'll feel the real deal here. So from podcasting to breathwork retreats, you hold space in many ways for people, and they come in here. What's a tool and a takeaway to manage, retreats, going maybe on a vacation or going to another destination, or I believe it's in Japan that you're going to, and there's a journey there. How do you take those mindset tools and take it into, speaking at an event like you're doing right now, or podcasting? How does that pan out so we get the harmony? Because maybe not the balance, but the harmony of those moments.
That's a great question, Nicole. I'm just going to be honest. I'm selfish. I do things that I am excited about. I just don't do things to do things. I do my best to live my life intentionally. So when I wanted to go back to Japan, because I lived there for 10 years, and then we moved back to the States, and that's when I saw a spiritual counselor who told me you'd be really good at Reiki, and I had no idea what Reiki was. And then I read up on it, and I was very excited, and then I got very mad because I was just in Japan. But I knew I would return. So I look at things as, what sparks aliveness in me? What do I want to experience, and how can I share that with other people? That's where I find my joy and my expansion, is because we are the ripple effect. As if everybody's getting at this, right? I just kept thinking in my mind, oh, that's the ripple effect. That's the ripple effect. And when we're in that space of joy and gratitude and all the things that make us feel good, right? Then, our whole nervous system is buzzing, right? Our energy is heightened. As Michelle and Sabrina talk about, doing their amazing work, this is about shifting the mind, the physicality of the brain, creating new receptors in the brain, neuroplasticity. There we go. And then other people can feel it. Other people receive it, because we are interconnected as humans. Just as we have 1 billion cells in our body, think of our body as the earth, and all of our cells are people. That's how I like to look at it. So we're all connecting, right? We have different types of cells that do different types of things. But when we're in alignment with what we want to do, when we're passionate about it, then it becomes easier. Now, don't get me wrong. Like this morning, I was literally looking up JR rail passes for my guests for the Tomo tour, and calculating that and how many rail passes I need, and where are we going, and all. And then my mind, right, starting to battle. We had a little smackdown, and then it's like, no, everything's going to pan out the way it needs to. Yes, I do need to know these aspects for the tour or for however I'm going to support my guests, whether it's a one-on-one client, whether it is a tour or a retreat, although things always just solidify, things just kind of pop in, and I don't have to work so hard. I think that's the big key, is that we think it has to be hard work, beat our heads against the wall or something. And when we can relax a little bit more, allow our emotional intelligence to take over, apply simple, easy practices such as breath work or tapping or going for a walk in nature, then that resets our minds, and our bodies to where we can receive more information, more downloads, more connections with people. We'll be more present when we're in this space, and we can actually hear and listen to the people that we're connecting with.
Great. Well, that's so true. It's the ability to listen and process and kind of regurgitate that information on how is it going to work in our life and how can we put that in our life. And if
Yeah,
if you kept on that battle earlier about the tickets, how would you show up today? How would you show up
exactly.
here? And that's the
Exactly.
proof in the pudding that when you come to the camera, here you are, you're ready.
Yeah, that's the emotional intelligence. That's what we're really building. So it starts physically in our brains. We're literally changing the physicality of our brains. It's so amazing. I my second or some life, I must have been a neuroscientist or something, because I love learning about the brain, learning how we can change the physicality of our brain with that neuroplasticity. And so I can't say, oh, you know, uh, Michelle, your prefrontal cortex looks very healthy today. We can't see our brains, although the proof is kind of in the pudding type of thing. It's how we're feeling, it's how we're showing up, it's how we're engaging with other people. And yeah, they were going to have some highs and lows, and that's natural because we're emotional beings. And that's part of the emotional intelligence, giving ourselves ease and grace, just letting that go and focus on what we want more of, not focusing on, I put that in the chat too. I believe and I hear a lot of people talking about what they don't want. They talk about it all day.
Mhm.
They talk about their challenges, their problems, this, that, and the other. Let's talk about what we want more of, because our words have power, and what we're projecting into the future, right? This is how, as Michelle was alluding to, right, how we manifest and grow in this.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it's going back to that, what if I'm successful? What if I get the riches? What if you get the prosperity and the ability and meet wonderful people like you are right now, and getting to know a little bit more about each and every person that is here and that is opening up the doors to work and move forward past the challenges to really say, hey, be the abundant beings. If you want to travel, travel. If you want to go scuba diving, go scuba diving. If you want to go with April to her Tomo tour, go do that. And Reiki, what was in Japan, right? That's where that started.
Yeah, that's
And
the birthplace of Reiki, and we're actually having a private tour by a local Reiki master that I connected with, and we're actually hiking up Mount Kurama, the birthplace of Reiki. And it all started with me asking, how can it get better than this? Right? Things falling into line and then asking that question. And then it popped into my mind, oh, this person or this organization that holds Reiki trainings on Mount Kurama. Why not reach out to them and see if they have a point of contact, and ask and you shall receive. When you're in that moment and in alignment, things flow a lot easier. And we all want it to be easy. I mean, I'm raising my hand to that. Everybody raise your hand. Do you want it easy?
I've done difficult. I want the
I want
easy
it.
button. I
I
want the
want
easy
easy
button.
breezy. I want it easy breezy. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing. Make it easy and do be selfish. It's the I that are we addressing our personal I as we are that being, and we are honoring our temple, our mind, body, and soul, and doing the things we love. And that's part of it. That's part of being happy, because how can you be happy if you're not doing what you love? So, Miss Michelle, we are coming down to the close of our panel here. And then we're going to open up the floor for questions. But really here, when we get past the not enoughness, when we get past the part of not being stuck and not inconsistent sabotage of the self, and we know that we are no longer broken, what's that next moment feel like when we take control of the vehicle, of steering our vehicle in the right place? What's the potential for that now?
Well, first, I want to address you saying, we realize we're no longer broken. None of us are broken. None of us are malfunctioning. We are simply programmed, right? And so if you can have that mindset of like, what are the programs that are driving my behaviors, that are creating these habits, that are showing up in my life in ways that I would prefer not, then then on the other side of that is this just great freedom to be who you were created to be. Whether that is a plumber, a CFO, a teacher, whatever it is. But showing up as your best possible self in your chosen career or chosen, life, then that there is freedom. And it doesn't matter what that looks like. It doesn't matter if you're making $30,000 a year or $3 million a year. If you're doing what you are here to do and you have a passion about it, that's what it's all about, right? But a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. I mean, that I hear that a lot with clients. They're like, I don't know what my great purpose is. Well, that can change over time. It evolves with your life. And one of the things that we talk about manifesting all the time. And we talk about, manifesting money or manifesting a job or manifesting a good body or whatever it is that we're wanting to manifest. But the thing is that we are always manifesting, right? You're never not manifesting. You are, April said, ask and you shall receive. Well, a lot of times we're asking for things subconsciously and we're receiving what we're asking for, but not even realizing what we're asking, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. When we start to realize what we're doing, and now we are taking the wheel, and we are driving on through, following the GPS and the map that we're supposed to follow.
Right. And so one of the main things I do with my clients is something called the emotion code. And it's so simple, yet so profound. And basically what it is I can tap into the subconscious minds of, I can't read your mind, but I can tap into your subconscious and ask the question, what is causing this issue? And there's these programs, or there's these trapped emotions, trapped energies in the body that could have happened before we were born. It could have been a shared emotion. It could be an emotion that was absorbed from somebody else that you are holding in your body that is keeping you from from your best life, from your goals, from or from changing habits or changing thought patterns. And once those emotions are identified and released, there is, I think Sabrina talked about, you feel lighter, you feel like this energetic release, and it's immediate. A lot of times I've done this a lot with clients, and headaches will go away, pain will go away. That something will be revealed to them that they didn't realize. Oh, I didn't realize that event, although it might have been really small in their conscious mind, but the subconscious mind holds on to these things because it's trying to protect you. The subconscious mind is there it runs the show, right? It makes your heartbeat, it makes your lungs work, your liver, your kidneys, and all that stuff. But it also, and so it perceives from what you perceive instructs the subconscious mind as to how to protect you. And the things that maybe kept you safe from 0 to 7 or 14 or whatever no longer serve you. And so we have to identify those programs, those emotional, those trapped emotions, release them because they no longer serve you. And as a result, it's like snowball effect. Releasing those trapped emotions opens up a world that you didn't even realize was available. And I would submit that if you don't address that subconscious programming, those trapped emotions, then it really is going to be impossible for you to have that self-love and to be healthy. I think being healthy overall starts with the mind. It starts with the subconscious reprogramming, that neuroplasticity, and changing the neural connections in your brain so you can live a different life. So,
Yes, that and living a different life, that's absolutely wonderful because when we get through all those changes and reprogram and know that we are good beings, we are where we're meant to be, and it's the divine timing, and it's the acceptance of that when we use all these wonderful tools that you're sharing to change that mindset. And we're not only changing us, we're not only changing one person or one client or one person in the room, we're changing millions. And that's a mindset shift in and of itself. We change us, we change the people in our home. We change the people with our business that we connect to. We can change our communities. We're absolute servitude. We're hitting our goals. And now we're changing millions of people. And that's that change and that shift in the post-traumatic growth and bringing that emotional intelligence into it. So you can be the happy being, so you can travel where you want to travel. So you can be
100%.
successful. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
April talked about the ripple effect, and how we're all connected, but you don't really realize how every single one of us are connected on a spiritual level, an emotional level, a cellular level, and even a thought that you think that's negative towards somebody, that may not even be in your, conscious awareness right now, that actually will affect them, no matter where they are. They could be on the other side of the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we're shifting here and we're changing, and that's wonderful. And if we're going to stop, let me get off of this. I love what you guys have to say. You have such wonderful and great information to share, and such great stories and tips and tricks. And we're going to take